Pfizer Incorporated SWOT Analysis 2018. Introduction. In 1849, Charles Pfizer, a chemist, along with Charles Earhart, a confectioner, started an affiliation in Brooklyn, New York City to create large quantities of chemicals, calling the organization Charles Pfizer and Company Incorporated, which was incorporated in 1900. It pioneered the production of citric acid for soft drinks, but later launched mass-produced penicillin in 1944, with revolutionizing manufacturing procedures to aid in World War II, and the company eventually conducted experiments to develop antibiotics such as terramycin in the 1950s, using marketing strategies such as the Pfizer Blitz to aggressively push the firm's products. During this time, the company mass-produced drugs to make them cheaper, creating products in warehouses. The organization expanded globally, going to 100 different countries, as well as gaining $175 million in sales by 1965. The organization had a quest for diversification through acquisitions along the way, which included mergers with Warner Lambert, Pharmacia, as well as Wyeth, launching a variety of profitable drugs such as Viagra, Zithromax, Zoloft, Norvasc, and Lipitor, eventually being a firm committed to research and development with divisions that include involvement of human alongside animal health that incorporates drugs, vaccines, medical devices, etc. for those consumers. Pfizer Incorporated is currently a leading research-based healthcare company that has continued to be relevant throughout the times by reinventing itself, absorbing other organizations, keeping a diverse product line, which in addition to drugs has included currently at one point in time chapstick, Visine, Listerine, Rolaids, Trident, Dentine, Certs, Halls, Schick, Tetra, Fish Food, and Bengay. The company has acquired as well as sold rights to products in order to position itself with an overall goal to become more profitable. Strengths. Pfizer is one of the world's largest pharmaceutical company with over $52 billion in revenues, along with over 90,000 employees in 2017. It is one of the oldest pharmaceutical companies, which started about 170 years ago, with total assets over $171 billion, a pharmaceutical company which spends its most on research and development. This organization has facilities in over 125 countries, is known globally, has a diversified product line including medicines, along with vaccines in healthcare, animal health, as well as consumer health with rights to many medications, including about 8 drugs and vaccines for humans that have profited over $1 billion a year. The firm's product line include well-known products such as Emergency, Robitussin, Nexium, Advil, and Centrum vitamins. The company Pfizer Incorporated produces brand names as well as generic medications, also throughout history, having strategic mergers as well as acquisitions, including Warner Lambert in 2000 for $111.8 billion, Pharmacia in 2003 for $60 billion, and Wyeth in 2009 for $68 billion. These joint projects have led to the company gaining rights to new drugs, animal drugs, vaccines, biotechnology, as well as other products. Because the organization has been around for such a long time, it has a good brand image. Also, with the firm having so much money, employees, assets, facilities, and a deep history, the experience makes the company strong because it has endured many different challenges, therefore giving the firm a protective factor against any unfortunate situations that might occur. For example, the company went through many times of war along with different political changes and continues to be one of the top conglomerates in the pharmaceutical as well as related healthcare industries. Weaknesses. This company has used illegal marketing for drugs like Bextra, Zyvox, and Lyrica, as well as recently being viewed as not being innovative anymore, and it has failed drugs after money was spent for clinical testing such as torcetrapib, which showed excessive all-cause mortality in the treatment groups of the clinical studies, so its development was halted. There has been unsuccessful products, such as over-the-counter Lipitor, that never successfully launched because the drug did not get past FDA approval, along with unsuccessful products that have been unsuccessful mergers, including a failed attempt to merge with AstraZeneca in 2014 and a failed attempt to combine with Allergen in 2016. Pfizer Incorporated has some issues with illegal marketing because it was being too aggressive, stating products accomplished something that was not true. Therefore, the corporation can be held responsible for such statements. And also, as in the case of torcetrapib, the company spent copious amounts of dollars to try and launch a drug, but the drug proved to be fatal in some cases, such as the medications just mentioned. So the organization spent millions of dollars or even more for a failed attempt. And in the end, the company had to cut its losses, then rebuild because of an unpredicted event. The company may be seen as not being innovative because it costs billions of dollars of research and development money to try and create a new drug, with this task not being easy to accomplish. Opportunities. For this firm, between 2002 and 2008, the company Pfizer has reduced greenhouse emissions by 20%. The company is one of the single largest political lobbying interests in U.S. politics and does lobbying in other countries as well. The company, with the Gates Foundation, assisted many women in developing countries by giving them contraceptives at discounted rates. There was an agreement to expand access to contraceptives to women in 69 of the world's poorest countries for $1 per dose. The organization has given millions of anti-pneumococcal vaccines at discounted rates and has given fluconazole, an antifungal medication, free of charge. There was a tax cut in 2017 by Trump, which assisted the company in obtaining monetary gains. Future strategic mergers as well as acquisitions, for example, the company is teaming with Novartis to develop a new drug that treats people who have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which may prove to be profitable in the future. This organization could try to assist consumers' health education so that individuals can make better health decisions in the future to buy Pfizer's products, and the pharmaceutical industry remains profitable. This company seems to be somewhat receptive of the environmental problems of the world, so by reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 20%, the organization is definitely displaying corporate social responsibility, following the rules which would only have a positive effect. Also promising is the way the organization has helped poor nations by giving vaccines as well as contraceptives, where the difference will have a big effect. When this organization works, for example, with Novartis to develop a drug for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, this is a collaboration that will produce a greater effect in the future, because with the two pharmaceutical giants discovering a cure first for a specific illness, it should prove to be lucrative. Another example is when the organization has teamed up with technology to produce biotechnological results that have revolutionizing effects, like when the company Pfizer has teamed up with Watson to develop new drugs. Threats. Lawsuits and fines, including ones inherited from mergers. For example, Pfizer inherited Wyeth's liabilities in American Cyanamide, which is an organization site in Bridgewater, New Jersey, and the site was very toxic. It was a super fun site also. Another lawsuit was one from Nigeria where the proper consent was not received in a clinical trial where Trovan was given illegally to children, 11 of them, who eventually died, and the company was later sued. Through illegal marketing, Pfizer settled for $2.3 billion in 2009 for its display of unethical practices for the drugs Bextra, Geodon, Zyvox, and Lyrica. Also, Rapamune was a drug for kidney transplants targeted to specific doctors and hospitals, where $491 million was paid to criminal as well as civil penalties. There is a lot of competition in the healthcare field, specifically the pharmaceutical industry, including big names such as Novartis, Bristol Myers Squibb, Johnson & Johnson, Sanofi, and Merck and Company, and Pfizer. And Pfizer Incorporated has said certain drugs work for diseases when it didn't, such as gabapentin in 1993, where the organization claimed it was medicine for seizures, pain, and psychiatric conditions, but really it was only scientifically proven to work for seizures. American corporate tax rate is high, and in 2016, the company tried to merge with Allergan, a deal which fell through, but would have helped the organization slash its tax bills by moving its office to Ireland, which has corporate tax at a much lower rate than in America. FDA regulations for drugs may be safer, but the effectiveness of the drugs may not prove to be helpful. This may lead to an oversaturated market and consumers not being able to tell which drugs are better. Patents expire for drugs after a certain amount of years, like Lyrica in 2018. Lawsuits and fines are always a threat to Pfizer, and these can come about also when the company merges with different organizations, such as the example of the company inheriting Wyeth's liabilities. Another example was the lawsuit which happened in Nigeria. The organization did not get proper consent before conducting the clinical trials for Trovan to counteract with meningitis, but for this event, it was unfortunate because there was loss of life which could have been prevented. Pfizer was also found guilty of illegal marketing, saying that certain drugs did more than they actually did. And there was another incident where Pfizer was targeting doctors and hospitals unethically, a specific drug that helped people who had suffered kidney transplants, who had suffered and were given kidney transplants. And in this event, they might have been given financial incentives to do so. In the pharmaceutical field, as well as in healthcare, there are plenty of competition, rising costs and drug prices, and many other factors which make it difficult for it to be profitable. So a company has to be sure not to lag behind because they could find themselves faltering. The amount of tax that is paid by American companies is high as compared to other parts of the world. Therefore, there has been instances where organizations have tried to do tax inversions, buying companies in other countries and absorbing these organizations, moving their headquarters to different parts of the world to try to reduce taxes. But the American government has tried to stop such actions in some instances. Another threat is FDA regulations and drug patenting being more stringent, so in those cases the products become even more safe because they have endured proper procedures for that issue, but the effectiveness of those medications may not be as optimum as possible. Another threat for Pfizer Incorporated is the drug patent, and Lyrica's patent is expiring this year. So when a drug first enters the market, it has a patent of about 20 years before other organizations can start making generic versions of that same drug. So a company must discover a drug, get it approved through a patent, and that process could take 8 years, and then start selling the drug to recoup all the money spent in research before other firms start copying with generics what the original organization has made, lowering the profits for that specific medication. How does the SWOT tool assist marketing and management teams solve problems within companies? The SWOT tool assists the marketing and management teams within the company to solve problems because it shows an overview of all the factors affecting an organization, so those teams will be able to know what are issues in the organization and how those quagmires can be alleviated. It shows in one view the internal strength and weakness of an organization side by side with the external opportunities and threats of the same firm. So basically, a SWOT analysis brings together a complete picture of the organization, what's going on internally and externally. So through this depiction, people will be able to better resolve any issues. From the analysis, a person or team would be able to see what factors are causing issues, whether it be internally from marketing, finance, human resources, supply, or whatever department, and where the problems are occurring externally, whether it be political, economic, social, environmental, and so forth. Therefore, the scrutinization or the scrutiny would be very helpful to pinpoint what, along with where the sources of problems are, as well as giving solutions to those problems or issues by deduction, induction, or experimental solutions. The recommendations for the management team based on this SWOT analysis. Based on the SWOT analysis for Pfizer Incorporated, I would recommend the management of this company to keep doing what it's doing, meaning it should continue to develop new drugs with heavy research and development, merge with other organizations, as well as continuing to market the new drug it develops. I would also caution the management of this organization to follow laws and regulations in a stringent manner, because it has had lawsuits and fines in the past from the organization within, as well as inheriting problems from corporations that this conglomerate had acquired. Pfizer Incorporated should also try to be more innovative, manufacturing new drugs to its already existing product line, because some of the drugs which are its top-selling medications will have patents expiring, opening up the market where other companies might try to obtain some of its profits. The organization will also be raising drug prices, which is a common practice in the pharmaceutical industry, because to make profit margins meet, some products must go up in price every 6 months or so. Therefore, I would recommend that the organization continue to follow industry practices. This organization is heaviest in research and development within the pharmaceutical industry, so I would suggest that they continue on that path. But the revenues of the organization have subsided in certain years, so I might also recommend that the corporation try to streamline its products. Instead of having so many different products in a variety, they might want to try to pick and choose the best-selling ones and focusing their attention on those specific products.